Well, I'm really happy to have just recently published this book called The Giving Tree. It's a retelling of a Métis story. The story is something that came to me over 10 years ago. I was doing some work with Métis veterans in Saskatoon, and I got to know a very wonderful elder named Frank Tompkins. That one particular day over Chinese food, he talked about this tree, and it was a stash, and it had a big hollow in it, and in that hollow was trade items, tea, flour, sugar, anything you need. And he was telling me that the old people used to use it as a trade center, a message center for the Métis, and it was really, really well received, and it was so special to the Métis. So 10 years ago I heard that story about the giving tree, and then it never came to be birthed until I had my son Louis. And so a few years ago I worked with Gabriel Dumont Institute to publish this beautiful story that Frank had told me. And it's through the eyes of a little boy and how he discovers that this tree has been used by his family and his people for generations, and what it felt like to take something from the tree and then to give something back, an offering back. So the story has been used by a lot of schools, and I do a lot of workshops to do book extensions because there's so many. There's like 12 core values in the book, and I do a lot of work to book extension those values so we can really share some of those good Métis values. What's really an honor for me, not only did I write the book and share my retelling of the story, the original story that I learned from the elder, is that I was able to paint it. And that's a rare gift for a writer and illustrator, to be able to do the two hand in hand. The story is through the eyes of a boy, but the male-female balance is there. Women, the sisters that he has, his mama, all their strong female presence in the story. So in this story, that is, the family is going to visit relatives, and there's all these little bush trails that they follow to go visit all these Métis villages. And at the center point, there's a beautiful tree. And this is the family getting ready to go and visit their relatives, loading up their family wagon to make their journey to go visit Métis relatives. And of course, when they get to the tree in the story, one of the first things that they do is they take the time to offer tobacco. And I have a lot of people say that, oh, Métis people don't do that, blah, blah, blah. And you know what? We do. We did, and we do. Maybe not all of us, but there are a lot who practice those ways. So I wanted to show respect to that tradition of many Métis that we hold, and I visually put it in the story. And in the story, they stop by the giving tree for a meal, and they visit, and they do their wonderful family bonding at the tree. And this is a picture of Mama and Papa cooking their lunch together. And I love this because they're working as a team, Mama and Papa, each holding their half of the circle up. The other painting, of course, is the joy of childhood, because the story is about learning your culture, becoming aware of all these beautiful things that you've inherited in your traditional ways. And this is the children with their mama, and there's the little boy. He's the main character in the story. They can see the tree in the distance. They're leaning just as far as they can over their wagon, anticipating, knowing that they're going to be stopping over at their favorite tree for their visit, for their meal, and for their... And here is the mama and the papa. And so in this picture, I love this one because it represents the male-female balance that the Métis people believed in, working, men and women working in partnership together to raise their families, to live their daily life. And so what they're doing is the mama and the papa are carrying each their end of the grub box. And in that, over that, I have the sacred symbol for the Métis, the infinity, which to me, the way I've been understanding it recently from the elders, is it is also a symbol of male-female balance coming into the center. And here's Mama holding her half of the flag and Dada his. I think one of my favorite paintings from the children's book though, and of course the big part of the story, is when that little boy is lifted by his papa to look into the tree, and in the tree he discovers moccasins, letters, flowers, sugar, so many things tucked away that the Métis have cached in there. And it was his first discovery of what this tree stood for. And I think this is one of probably my favorite parts of the story, where he discovers for the first time what that tree really means. And of course this is, I like this one because I have a visual of the tree, but the family unloading at the tree, getting their stuff out of the wagon, and working together to as a family, to take that time out to stop and eat and share and be together. And so I have the daughter helping the mama, the dad's out there, and the family's just, they're taking that time. I think one of the things that I wanted to do too is have the families working together, and I have things like willow baskets, taking the tripod out to set up for the cookout. And I really wanted to have that sense of the Métis community that was intact at the time of this story. And because I really wanted young people to see, you know, again, mother and father in working together to get the things done for the family, I have the mama and the papa both cooking over the traditional fire. And they're each, again, on their half of the circle, and they're each doing something to prepare the meal for the family. And what I liked about this is I also put dragonflies, because to me they represent our ancestors, and that they're there and they're always watching, they're listening to us, they're there for us. And they also remind us to live our good ways that have been given, that they've paved before for us to live a good life. So I always paint dragonflies and think of the ancestors. Did not want that story to get lost. I wanted all kids to know we had the giving tree, we had these ways. Now let's find ways to bring them back and do the same thing today.